Hi everyone, this is Flavia and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be a little bit different and I hope you enjoy it. For those who do not know, my card making journey began around 2020 when I watched one of Jennifer Maguire's tutorial videos on YouTube, and since then my life completely changed and I have been making lots of note cards on a weekly basis, and I must confess that I am emotionally attached to each one of them. I really love this hobby, and each note card that I make comes with a memory of that day or week, which makes it really special for me. Most of the note cards that I make I give to friends and family members, and sometimes I even sell them at craft festivals. However, I still have some that I made many years ago, right at the beginning of my card making journey. So a few weeks ago, when I went over my note cards to try to organize them, I realized that some of them actually needed an upgrade. I feel like I have learned a lot in the past 5 years, and I decided to apply what I know today, the new tricks, techniques, and design ideas, to some of these note cards that I made about 4 or 5 years ago. It was a lot of fun, and I loved the result and the process so much that I decided to record this second session in hopes that some of these ideas will be helpful to you. All of these note cards were made around 2020 or 2021, and even though I am still proud of my creations, I believe that I can change a few things to bring these note cards to the next level. Before we begin, I want to mention 3 things before I forget. First things first, I do believe the reason why these note cards are still in really good condition is because I keep each note card that I make protected inside a clear bag, and I highly recommend you do so. Also, even though each note card was made many years ago, each glued piece is still strong as if I had made it yesterday, and that is because I used good quality strong glue. This is a must, and I highly recommend the Barely Art glue, which is the one that I have been using. And the last thing is that some of the die sets and maybe stamp sets that I will be using today were purchased a long time ago, so if you do not see them in the supply list below, it is because they are no longer available, so I do apologize for that. However, I hope this video inspires you to go over the supplies that you already have and put them to good use as well. So let's begin with this adorable note card made with a fairy set by Mama Elephant. I remember being a lot of work making this note card because of the glitter stenciled background, and then having to stamp and hit emboss and then color each fairy, so I would definitely try to keep most of this note card as it is. To give this one an upgrade, I will simply change its shape by using this scalloped die plate by Spellbinders. However, before I do so, using a craft knife, I will carefully remove the die cut pieces since I had stacked a few layers and they have a lot of dimension. So I need to remove all of that to be able to run it through my die cutting machine. By the way, I'm using the second largest plate included in the set to cut out this panel, and later I will use this same plate to cut out 2 more panels from white cardstock that I will adhere inside the note card so it feels heavy and stands nicely on display. Then, using the largest plate included in the set, I will cut out a fun-shaped note card. To do so, I will place this metal plate over an A7 size side folding note card, making sure to overlap the metal plate over the folded side so the end result is 2 connected scalloped panels that we can use as a card base. Once that is all done, I will go ahead and glue each panel to my note card using the Barely Art glue, and I will adhere the fairies and the sentiment banner back in the exact same spot. And since I believe the envelope deserves just as much attention as the note card that will go inside, I will add a thin glitter cardstock to the flap of the envelope to make it fancier. So here is a closer look at the final result, and let me know in the comments box down below your thoughts on the changes that I made and if you have any easy trick to bring your projects to the next level. Moving on, here we have a very similar note card. And to keep things simple, I will make the same changes as I did for the previous note card. However, this time, instead of using a scalloped die set, I will use an arched one, also by Spellbinders. To be mindful of your time, we will skip most of the process since it is exactly the same as the previous one. If you like to create a fun-shaped note card like this, make sure to add a lightweight scrap paper under the note card before you run it through the die cutting machine, just to keep those scratch marks on the clear plates from being transferred to the cardstock. I also added white panels inside this arched note card to make it feel heavier so it stands nicely on display, and there is where we can write a personal message. As a final touch, at the last minute I decided to add some star sequins around the two fairies and the sentiment banner. These stars added a lot of sparkle to the note card and I really like how it turned out. For the next makeover, here we have a bright You Are Loved note card. I really like the bright yellow and orange color combo. However, I feel that this white shadow die cut for the sentiment is completely out of place since there is nothing else white on this note card. So I will cut out the front of this note card and trim the front panel to 5¼ inches tall by 4 inches wide, and then I will glue it back to the front of a white A2 size note card. Since I trimmed off the yellow and orange panel, the edges of the white note card will be visible at the front to match the white shadow die cut piece in the center of this panel. Then, since I had some golden die cut hearts ready to go, I will go ahead and add some around the sentiment using strong liquid adhesive and a wax pencil to pick up these very small pieces. Even though I already had a matching envelope, I think I want to go with a white one this time, and I will make my own using metal plates included in the Stampendas A2 gift card holder and envelope die set. This set comes with 2 large plates that we can use to cut out 2 pieces to make a pocket-shaped envelope, and I use it all the time. The metal plates not only cut the paper, but also leaves engraved marks on the cardstock to indicate where we need to fold it. I'm using strong liquid adhesive to glue these 2 pieces together because I definitely do not want my envelope to fall apart later, and I'm using a bond folder to really reinforce the folds on this envelope. Then, for my last amazing trick, I will remove the cardstock strips from the original yellow envelope and adhere it to the flap of my white one. And of course, I will save this yellow envelope so I can use it with another note card. I can always add more cardstock strips or die cut elements to hide this section that is messed up. And here is the final result. Next, here we have a note card that I love, and honestly, I do not feel the need to change it very much. I love the pink and purple color combo and the design itself. However, I think that this plain white envelope is very boring and not good enough for this note card. So again, using the Stampendas die set, I will make a matching pocket-shaped envelope using a bright pink cardstock. To make my own custom envelopes, I like to use 80 pounds cardstock, and this one happens to be by Recollections in the color fuchsia. When I make my custom envelopes, I like to add a piece of double-sided tape that is 1/4 inches wide along the flap of the envelope, just to make it easier to seal it later. And to decorate the flap of this envelope and bring everything together, I will add holographic and silver glitter cardstock strips. It really amazes me how this bright pink envelope really brought the note card to life, and I'm so glad that I made this small change that made all the difference. Moving on to the next one, here we have a split gatefold note card that isn't really working for me, even though I love these blooms. To stamp and die cut these flowers, I used a very old set by Honeybee Stamps, I believe, and I actually heat embossed them with glitter embossing powder. So, since a lot went into making this note card, I will try to save most of these die-cut flowers. As we can see here, I began by taking the right and left side apart, and I am carefully removing the die-cut flowers so I can reuse them. And I will also be reusing that foil panel inside my note card and the die-cut sentiment hugs in the belly band. I actually ended up making 2 new note cards out of this one, and I really like how it turned out. Once I'm done taking this note card apart, I will make two A2 size top folding card bases by scoring an 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches long cardstock in half lengthwise. Then I will cut it in half crosswise to end up with two top folding note cards that are 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches. For this first note card, I will begin by gluing half of the die cut flowers to the left side of my note card using strong glue. Then I will add that white foiled panel that I saved inside this note card, and after that I will add the die cut sentiment hugs at the front of my note card. To cut out this sentiment, I used an old set by Honeybee Stamps, and it is still one of my favorites. The set comes with one metal plate to cut out the sentiment, along with two more plates to cut out shadow pieces for the sentiment, and we can stack them all up or use just the die cut word or the die cut word with either one of the shadow pieces. For this note card, I will be using the die cut word hugs along with the smallest die cut shadow piece. To embellish this note card, I will add a few die cut butterflies that I had ready to go, and in the center of each butterfly I will add a very small rhinestone, and just like that we are all done. I decided to keep the purple matching envelope, and I really love the result. I also made a second one with a landscape orientation, and later I will add a sentiment to this one as well. And now for the last one, here we have a slimline note card that is 4 inches tall by 9 inches long, and I simply love this one. Again, I believe I used a really old set by Spellbinders, probably released as a subscription club, and I still have this set and use it very often. The plan here is to keep the same card size, however I will be trimming the front panel a little bit off because I want this note card to have a metallic golden frame around it. So after trimming my panel, I will adhere a piece of metallic cardstock that is 4 inches tall by 9 inches wide to the front of another slimline card base. However, since the center of this gorgeous metallic cardstock will be covered by the original panel, and letting it go to waste will be just a crime, before I do so, I will actually cut out the center of this metallic panel using a ruler and a craft knife so I can use it later for die cutting the next time I need a small piece of metallic cardstock. This hobby of ours can be very expensive, so I try to do my best to avoid wasting my craft supplies. I do have drawers filled with cardstock scraps that I use very often to cut small pieces, and that is where this piece will go for now. After cutting the center of this panel off, I can go ahead and glue whatever is left to the front of my slimline card base. Then I will adhere the original panel on top, and inside this note card I will add the original panel with the two die-cut beach bags. For the envelope, I decided to keep the same white slimline envelope that I made using a really old set. And this completes our note card makeover session. Let me know in the comments box down below how I did, and feel free to share any tips for upgrading your note cards. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you felt inspired and enjoyed watching this session. Make sure to head over my blog for more information and the before and after pictures. As always, I appreciate you spending this time with me. Take care, and I hope to see you again soon.